Welcome in. This is the Second Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and we are mega preview potting this week's Genesis Invitational. That's storylines, it's best bets. It's, of course, the one and done, a big one and done for this week. Greg DuCharme is joining me, and Greg, we usually save the chaos for Sunday. Chaos on Tuesday because I have just got to the hotel in Ponte Vedra. I've already had to switch rooms because there was no power. I'm fumbling with my webcam to get it set up. I don't know my passwords to anything. I'm shocked we're even live right now.
Well, Rick, I'm glad we are live. Although I'm a little concerned when you have your own website, right? A guy has our tech guy here is having tech issues. It's not good. It's not a good scene. But fortunately, we got Mina here. Yes. Who always runs a great show, and all we really need is a microphone.
Yeah, right. And Mina runs a tight ship show. So the fact that we had to move this back from 6 to 6:15 to 6:18, she was not happy with me, but I'll make it up to her with a great show here today. And let's get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way. I was traveling all day today, but I did see a couple of items. I saw one, Greg, that Justin Thomas is going to make his TGL debut next week, which he has already announced that he is clear for golf activity. This seems to be the logical step. He was already targeting a Florida swing return anyway. So it looks like we are about to get Justin Thomas, multiple-time major champion, back into golf pretty soon.
Yeah, and it's great for him. And it's great for us as well. Love watching JT play. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Xander Schauffele story last year, where there was a late start in the Florida swing. It's a tough place to start, but I think an advantage for JT is that he's from Florida, so perhaps he could be a little more comfortable. I just hope it's not the API like it was for Xander last year, because that could just smash your confidence very quickly without playing too poorly. So we'll see what happens with his return. As for TGL, great place to go get a couple swings in front of cameras. And I'm sure that the Atlanta Drive they'll welcome him back with open arms as the defending champs in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely just the perfect way to get back into some quasi-competitive reps before you get out there on the course in PGA Tour action. Also, because it's the Genesis Invitational, Tiger had a presser today. I think there were probably a couple of interesting notes here. I don't know how interesting, but the question was, is the Masters off the table for you? Tiger said no. I think I've heard this story before, Greg.
We've heard it many times. I believe him. I believe that he's making a push for the Masters. If he's able to walk, yes, he wants to play. And I think what he's shown is he will play if he can at the Masters. Like, that's one he's going to go play if he can, by any means necessary. Yet at the same time, I can't imagine what his life is like, because he was asked about the Ryder Cup, being the captain of the Ryder Cup, and right. He's on all these boards and he's running the tour and he's working around the clock on that. How much work is there getting put into his return to the Masters? Not that he's wrong for that, but you just wonder how he balances all of those things. And it seems like right now, all the other stuff with the PGA Tour is extremely time consuming.
Yes, which he mentioned as well. But I'd be remiss if I didn't point out the very real Mark Immelman is in the chat. He's not feeling well tonight. He's not joining us on camera, but he's mixing it up in the chat, which, Greg, as we have seen, that could be a dangerous place for somebody like Mr. Immelman.
Yes. He does need some one and done tips. He doesn't know it yet, but he's about to plummet down the leaderboard.
Oh my goodness.
Actually, I don't know. I don't know who he's picking. But I'm planning on having a good week and clearing my name as the one and done mush for the season.
There's still plenty of time to do that. This would be a very good week to do it. The other interesting thing from Tiger, and you kind of alluded to this already, talking about being a Ryder Cup captain, but also what he's doing on a regular basis. And he described what I think we've talked about a lot is, this new schedule that we've heard teased for 2027, where, hey, maybe the West Coast is the playoff locations and maybe it's more compact, but just like the stars are playing in the big events. Tiger relayed what we've been saying all along, which is it's hard to please everybody, right? Like you're trying to please the stars, the non-stars, the sponsors, the fans, the cities, the everything, right? And there is usually not like a magic bullet to be able to please all of those people with the same result.
No, a very challenging thing to do. And, I've been thinking about this. Well, listening to Tiger, first of all, before I share my thoughts, it's amazing how good he is at saying nothing while saying something. Everything is on the table it leaves you nowhere other than that it's not going to happen. We've heard rumors that, the West Coast swing is going to kind of become the playoffs and the schedule is going to get a lot shorter. I guess all we know from Tiger is that it's on the table because everything is. They might also go to a 52-week schedule with a Christmas Day Tour Championship. That would be on the table based on his answer. I think we all know that's not going to happen. So, look, I don't know how much we really got from it. I didn't expect to get much from it. The questions frame everything. If you put those answers on a different question, you would walk away with a different mindset. And if the answer is everything is on the table, the question could be anything regarding the schedule. So I didn't get a whole lot from it. I just have a feeling that when this comes out, there are going to be some things that I like. They start going to more big markets. That's a great thing. Mm-hmm. But I think there's going to be a lot that leaves me disappointed.
If, history is any indication, or at least they usually like to announce these things during the home game in Ponte Vedra. So I'm expecting Players Championship week. There will be some big announcement. I don't know if it's going to be schedule. I don't know if it's going to be, it could be anything, but they usually like to, when the spotlight is on, use that as an opportunity to announce something. So that is my hunch for what we might hear out of Ponte Vedra.
It's doubtful that they're going to wait until the Tour Championship, which is another time when they make big announcements.
Right. Yeah.
Doubtful that they wait until then to say these. But I'm very curious about it because they have moved. I give them a lot of credit for this new team. They move quickly. And they
do.
If they had the schedule now, it wouldn't surprise me if they announced it now. I feel like they're willing to go. So I don't know if they're saving it for the Players Championship. Maybe they are, but I'm sure there's still a lot of details, a lot of things that they still need to iron out.
Okay, let's turn our attention to the final leg of the California swing before Cognizant, and then I think it's Bay Hill, and then I think it's Players. There might be one more in there, but don't quote me on that. But this is the last leg of the Florida swing. It is Riviera, and Greg, I've known about this for a while. This thing where basically the best players have not won at Riviera, and I went and I looked it up, right? And I knew Tiger had never won here. I knew Rory hadn't. I knew Scottie hadn't, and I went and pulled the numbers on it. And those three have 27 trips to Riviera and 0 wins, by far the most that they've played in their combined careers without a victory. My question to you is why? Why would the three greatest players in the modern era struggle at a golf course that should separate the best from the rest?
It's a great question. It's a really hard one to answer. Jack won here. Ben Hogan won here. The previous generations did. Modern times, they haven't. And when Tiger Woods hasn't won somewhere, it's very puzzling. One thing that would come to my mind is POA greens, but Tiger won at Torrey Pines 8 times.
No problem there.
No problem there. Rory just won at Pebble Beach. Perhaps Rory's record in California is not what Tiger's is, so it's more explainable. Rory won at Harding Park in the match play, and I'm not sure if he won anything else in California. So, that just may be a difficult place for Rory to play. And I could be wrong, but he usually doesn't play the Farmers. So, Pebble Beach and Harding Park would be, I think, the 2 California wins for Rory. So maybe it's the POA greens for him. For Scottie still has a really strong record here. And it wouldn't surprise me if this was just a yet. So if Scottie or Rory wins this week, it changes that a little bit, and it just becomes more of a Tiger thing, in my opinion. I think Rory's the easiest to explain. It's kind of been early in the year for him. And perhaps there's been a lot of years where he struggled on the greens. But it should separate the best from the rest. You're right, because it challenges every part of the game. I mean, the fairways are some of the hardest to hit on tour. The greens are some of the hardest to hit on tour. Every year they're in the top 10 on the PGA Tour in both of those. So, I was looking, like the last 5 winners, the highest number of greens in regulation was 72%. So you're talking about 52 of 72 greens. That was Adam Scott. That means 20 short game opportunities,
right,
for the winners. And that's the best of the greens in regulation performances. So you have to have a good short game. They all do. You have to drive it well. You have to drive it. You don't have to hit a lot of fairways. The winners,
you don't.
They don't hit a lot of fairways. Nobody hits a lot of fairways.
That's why, is because there's just a lot of missed fairways.
Yeah, everybody's missing them. So, but you can get in trouble if you miss them in the wrong spots. It's a strange one, Rick. I don't have a great answer.
I tend to think it is just, so there's a comment in there from HJP that says, honestly, I think it's just a weird outlier. I actually agree with that. I think it is just, there is no explanation. It's just a weird, and I've set the bar very high, right? A win. It's, are you going to say Jason Day's record at Pebble Beach is bad because he hasn't won? He's done everything but win, right? Like it's an outrageous record. So it's not like these guys have missed every single cut they've ever played here. It's just they haven't ended up with the trophy. So
yeah, you get beat.
Yeah, I tend to think that's what it is as well. I'm actually going to use that to segue into one of our Patreon questions, and this one comes from Alex. So Alex says, are we factoring in the amount of rain that LA has had this year into the picks? Basically saying, is distance going to be more important because it's going to be soft and play shorter, or maybe accuracy to avoid the wet rough? That's part one of his question. It's been a very wet year in Southern California. It also poured yesterday. I think there's some sort of rain in the forecast all week long, whether that happens or not. But would a wet golf course, I'll just say a wet Riviera, would that impact the way that you handicap this event?
Slightly. I think it opens the door. So the way I look at this event is it helps to be long. But you don't have to be the longest. Like there's a lot of guys that are long enough to compete here. You don't have to hit a ton of fairways. You're just not going to, although it never hurts. So I really like strong iron players, especially from outside of 150 yards. And I really like guys with really strong short games. I think short game is extremely important around Riviera. So like if I had to break it down into half the game, I take the iron play and the short game. When it's soft like this, I think the short game gets just a little bit easier. And I think you can hit more greens because the greens are softer. You'll end up in more fairways because the fairways are softer. You won't get the ball chasing, running out, running through all of those areas. So I think it just takes a little bit of the edge out, and it shifts it a little more towards iron play and putting than iron play and short game, if that makes sense. Because I think there'll be more birdies.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. And there's this golf course does such a great job of asking you a bunch of different questions that yeah, sure. Guys that might be a little bit longer, might be a little bit more accurate, but I think you're going to have a lot of everything to get it done this week. The other part of Alex's question, and maybe Mark can answer this, says, will Mark be on the course Saturday or Sunday? And does he want to hang out? I'll be the guy in the second cut polo. I doubt he wants to hang out, but I'm sure he'll take a photo with you if you find him and you're wearing your second cut photo. But I think he's mostly working. But hey, maybe he'll want to hang out. I don't want to speak for Mark.
I won't speak for him either, but he's going to be inside the ropes. You got to have a special pass to hang out with Mark at a PGA Tour event.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So this week, oh, there you go. Mark in real time says, yes, I'll be there. Come find me. There you go. Appreciate you, Alex. Yeah, wear your second cut polo. That'll be a lot of fun. Okay, so what I like, I was actually looking at this as well, Greg. We're now, I believe, 17 signature events into the signature event era. Does not include the players, doesn't include major championships, just signature events.
And no playoffs either.
I don't think that includes playoffs either, yeah. What I kind of like about this is how consistent the fields have been, obviously, because you have to qualify for these events specifically. There's not a ton of turnover. We're getting almost the same field we saw last week. So now when we take that field and put it on a new golf course, I don't want to say it makes me feel more confident, but like I like having almost an identical field week in and week out, or at least for back-to-back weeks. I think that's fun. I think it's a little bit different.
It is different. I think it's a dangerous thing if you expand that out too far.
Sure.
So it's one of the benefits of Next 10 and Swing 5. In this case, with back-to-back weeks like this, if you got into Pebble, you got into both kind of thing, which I understand. And I'm fine with that. I don't want to see everybody that gets into signature events at the beginning of the year that's the field for the whole next season. Right? I think it's really valuable to have guys get in like Ryo Hisatsune, who's been a factor. He needs to be in this field. Jake Knapp needs to be in this field. And if you close it up too much, you risk not getting those guys in there. I think they've done a nice job with opening up some pathways in the non-signature events to get the right guys in. But to your point, you're talking about 50 of somewhere between 70 and 80 players. 50 of 70 and 80 players will be largely the same because they qualified last year. So that is it's definitely interesting.
The other thing is this is one of the signature events with a cut. So this will drop you down top 15 ties and 10 strokes, or is it just top 50 and ties?
At one point, it had the 10-stroke rule.
God, isn't it crazy that we don't know?
Well, I'm a little worried about that because I feel like they got rid of a 10-stroke rule, but I'm wondering if that's the Masters, which got rid of it years ago.
Yeah. I don't remember.
We've talked about this before. I would love to see exclusively a 10-shot rule.
Oh, that'd be so sick. It would incentivize, hey, if you go make 2 more birdies here on Friday afternoon, you could cut out a large chunk of this field.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you could probably cut out 15 players, make it 2 more birdies down the stretch. It definitely has. I don't think they changed it, Rick. I think 10-shot rule's in play.
The chat and Mina both believe the 10-shot rule is in play, so we'll go with that. We'll say it's top 50 and ties plus 10 shots, similar to what the old Masters rules were. Okay, so as you can probably imagine, similar to last week, Scottie Scheffler, the formidable favorite. Rory McIlroy's in this field. Xander Schauffele, Tommy Fleetwood played well. It's a lot of the same names. Is there anybody, Greg, and we'll talk about a lot of different names over the course of the next 30 minutes or so, but is there anybody that you're just interested in? Like, I think Jordan Spieth falls into that category for me. Victor Hovland falls into that category for me just because I don't really know what I'm going to get out of either one of those guys. And I'm very much on a week to week, round by round, shot by shot relationship with them.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. There's a lot of guys I'm really interested in. One is Xander Schauffele, who you mentioned. It's so strange because he won in the fall, and it's kind of come out, and it's been a slow start to the year for him. Pebble looked good, but the numbers at the end of the week, even though he finished tied 19th, they don't look great. So I'm not entirely confident that Xander's back. But, he's like the first guy I think of. You said it earlier. What does it take at Riv? It takes everything. And Xander is a everything kind of guy. So, he would normally be like the first name on the board. And then I go look at it and it's like, man, where is he? I don't have a great feel for where he is. Cam Young, I'm very interested in, but struggled a little bit with his irons last week. You had a lot of short irons and wedges last week, a lot of long irons this week. What's going to happen there? Matt Fitzpatrick has been absolutely striping it. I love what I've seen out of his tee to green performance. Can that hold up? So I'm interested in those guys. And then I'm also interested in like Ryo Hisatsune. Is he going to keep this roll? Like, you feel like he can't. He can't keep this rolling, right? Maybe he can. So I'm fascinated to see what he does as well.
There's also a question from Patreon from T. Leone in regards to Jordan Spieth. He says Jordan Spieth that's his word, had an amazing start to his career, but he now has 2 wins since 2017, and neither of those were stellar fields. It seems unlikely he'll ever return to the top of the game, as I don't see a part of his game that's elite anymore. Considering how long it's been since his peak, as well as how much talent is here and coming through, is there a realistic path for him getting back to the top of the game? That's Jordan Spieth specifically.
Well, the top of the game has gotten farther away. Not because Jordan necessarily went down, although he did. The top of the game extended with Scottie Scheffler. So that is going to be very difficult for Jordan to ever get back to. I do think Jordan has what it takes to go get in contention in tournaments regularly again. I think that's still there. Well, nothing's elite. There's no glaring weaknesses either. And after 2017, you started seeing a glaring weakness pop up from him every year. Problem is, it was different every year. And it was very concerning. So it feels like we're on the right track with Jordan. It just feels a little slow. And I think you hit the nail on the head. The thing that's missing is nothing is hot. He's got to get hot with his iron play. He's got to get hot with the putter. And when one of those two things happen and his confidence starts to rise, you'll see him win again, I believe. And I think you'll see him in contention more regularly. But I don't think you're going to see Jordan as a top 2 player in the world, top 3 player in the world. Yeah, I think he could get back to the top 10. But, even cracking that top 5 it's tough.
Yeah, it is. And we've seen guys go on 18-month runs. Jason Day, Justin Rose, Jordan Spieth. It's hard to continue. Then you've got injury stuff. And yeah, I think it's very unlikely he's probably even a top 10 player in the world ever again. And that's okay. You can have a great career. You can have a fantastic career and win once or twice a year and not be a top 10 player in the world and not challenge Scottie. I just don't really see a scenario in which, without massive changes, Jordan Spieth becomes that guy again.
But he could still win another Masters.
Yeah, he could win the Open. He could win He could win anything, right? Yeah. I do you think Jordan Spieth will win another major?
The 2 majors you mentioned, he is so strong in. I gotta think he will. I still believe in him. What is he, 31?
He's young.
I think he's actually a little older. He's probably 34.
Oh, he's 32. He's an old man.
32. Yeah, never mind. He's done.
Horrible. I tend to think he will.
Yeah, I think there'll be one more spot of magic.
That'd be fun.
If he wasn't so good at links golf, the good thing about links golf is it expands your opportunity to, like, his chances he'll have a lot of years.
Right.
And the Masters he's got every year.
Right. Yeah, he might
Those are
play
huge benefits.
Legitimately at least 20 more Masters, at least 20 more Opens.
Yeah, I mean,
at least
that would get him to what, 52.
Yeah.
That if he started like a broadcasting career like Mark's brother, then maybe he'd stop playing Masters. But at 52, I mean, you could definitely keep playing. So there's going to be a 40, lot more chances.
Yeah, that's 40 chances at those two alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do the grid. So if you've never seen this before, here's what we do. Mina puts together a grid. We each, and we do have Mark's picks, have a matchup, a finishing position, and two separate outrights of our choice. We get to have a discussion around these players, talk about them before we get into the one and done and the fantasy portions of the show. So Mina, whenever you are ready, okay. She was ready faster than I thought she would be. This is the grid. It is here right now. And we've got, we've got some interesting things here. Let's start, Greg, with your matchup, please. These are two guys that played well over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, the number really caught me off guard here. I loved what I saw out of Min-Woo Lee last week. But I also loved what I saw out of Akshay Bhatia. And Akshay Bhatia is a massive underdog to Min-Woo Lee at Riviera this week. I don't understand why. I think they should both kind of be. If this was even money, I wouldn't have touched it. But I kind of feel like Akshay could be a Riviera guy. Like, he's got a lot of shots. He likes to work the ball both ways. I think the soft conditions will limit the short game if there's any struggles there. He putted great last week. I think there's a lot of things going well for Akshay Bhatia, and I don't really trust Min-Woo Lee. So I think this one has a really good chance, and I really like the number.
All right, that's Akshay plus 125 over Min-Woo Lee. Mark, who has a theme. Well, we'll see. We'll see if the chat can figure out what this theme of his grid might be. But he's got Rico Hoey plus 110 over Ryan Fox. Ryan Fox has been, he's been tough on me. Slow starts for like basically every single round, plays well enough to keep me involved. But Rico Hoey, absolute flusher, plus 110 over Ryan Fox. And Greg, I went with Matt Fitzpatrick over Sam Burns. I think that most people do not realize how good Matt Fitzpatrick has been over the last 4 months. The run at the end of last year, the DP World Tour stuff, great start to this year. He just had, God, I don't have it in front of me because I'm on my laptop, but it was his best approach week ever last week. I think he gained 7 strokes on approach, and he's gained like 20 strokes ball striking in his last 2 starts, something like that.
Yeah, it's sicko stuff. It's a little more than 18, not quite 19 strokes ball striking in his last 2 starts. And it's a T14 and a 9th that I don't think he could have shot any worse based on how well he played. Yeah. He got nothing out of either of those tournaments. There's a win coming for him. I don't know if he's going to win at Riviera, but I love to play over Sam Burns, especially at plus money.
Yeah, and you're going to see Matt Fitzpatrick show up later. So Kevin in the chat is, so he's talking about like a ladder where basically you could bet like, Fitzpatrick to win, Fitzpatrick top 5, Fitzpatrick top 10, Fitzpatrick top 20, and then kind of see how far up the ladder he can take you. And that's the kind of guy that I think is pretty interesting for this week.
Yeah, great ladder play.
Boy. The finishing position market. We've got a top 10, a top 20, and a top 30. Mark has gone with Sahith Theegala inside the top 30 at plus 138. So we're starting to get an idea of what his trend might be. Greg, you've gone a step lower into the top 20 market. Who is it, please?
I've gone with Shane Lowry, which you also may not realize just how good Shane Lowry has been with his DP World Tour play.
Mm-hmm.
So, couple things on Shane. One, his iron play has been stellar.
Outstanding.
Like it's one thing to be beating the field averages. It's another thing to be smashing them. And that's what he's been doing. He's put up at least 3 strokes approaching the green in 5 out of his last 6 events. It was on the DP World Tour for all of them except last week, where he put up 3.2. Putted well on the POA greens last week. If there's one concern, it's short game. But I think Shane Lowry's a phenomenal chipper. Chipper.
Agreed. I saw that his around the green numbers the last couple weeks haven't been good, but I always thought that was the best part of his game for a long time.
Yeah. And, if it is a problem, I think a golf course like this will bring out the necessary short game from Shane Lowry. It has a lot of Masters comparisons. I don't think it plays quite the same way, but you got to see. I think the guys that see the golf course here see Augusta National in a very similar way. Lowry sees Augusta National very well.
I had a friend, so it's funny. I let it go the first time when we were talking about Akshay, but now you bring it up again. I'm gonna have to mention it. I had a friend who will remain unnamed text me like, Akshay at the Masters, and basically at some point, like Akshay winning the Masters at some point in his career, and I was like, and the case was kind of. You said this might be a place that works for him. He likes to work it both ways. He especially likes to work it right to left because he is a lefty. There's this weird lefty thing at Augusta National. Like that was the impetus of the text. And I don't know, it's just been on the top of my mind ever since. And now I'm hearing this, Akshay Riv Augusta. I don't know.
You never know. Never know. A friend of mine, by the way, about this time last week said, I think, is Akshay playing this week? I think he could do it.
Wow.
Right? No research. Just, is he playing? I think he could do it.
Is he playing is the best first question.
Right.
I don't even know. But wherever he's playing this week, I'm in.
Yeah. And so, yes, he's played, and my God, he had a 5-shot lead on Friday.
Yeah, should have won it. Yeah, should have won it.
Crazy.
I went with the top 10. It's Jake Knapp plus 260. And this is what I'm looking at. 4 starts this year. Waialae, Torrey Pines, Scottsdale, Pebble Beach. No worse than T11. That's the gamut. That is the gamut of golf courses. And he's weird, Greg. I want to look this up because he is an off the tee and putting guy, which is a pretty rare combination. So he has a high floor because of the driver, but then he also gets all these like bonus strokes with the putter, and he's not bad in the other 2 categories either. I know he's never played at Riviera, but ton of Southern California like vibes and connections. Like I have no reason to think that Jake Knapp run stops now.
He went to UCLA. Is that right? I think he did.
All I know is he has the course record at Costa Mesa Country Club, and he's backed by the Ducks. So he has some Orange County connection. I don't know where he went to school. I'll look it up.
Yeah, I think it's UCLA, at least for a time. So I think he makes a ton of sense as well. Definitely in my fantasy options.
UCLA. Good job.
There we go.
He's been a pro for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, he was a part-time pro for a while. He was a bouncer to fund his professional golf.
Why do I think that he is I thought he was a lot younger than 31.
It's hard to make it out there, man. I mean, it's really hard. He's gotten a lot better. He's gotten a lot better. His game has gotten so much more tidy. He's got a lot of shots. So it's a good fit here too.
He's one of my favorite guys to watch. He does it different and he does it well. Okay, look at this. Outrights. And if I'm looking at this correctly, we've got 6 different golfers covered. at a variety of odds, all the way up to 37 to 1. Let's go like this. Let's go longest to shortest. And that is actually Mark going with Jake Knapp at 37 to 1. Greg, I did not see that before I got into the winners section. So we're getting a second endorsement for Mr. Knapp.
Yep, and you're starting to really see the picture come together for Mr. Immelman and his grid. A lot of connections there. So yeah, love the Nat pick from Mark.
I went with Matt Fitzpatrick. So I'm following up my matchup with the winners outright, which is 36 to 1. He's won a major championship. He's won a signature. Was Harbor Town a signature event when he won it?
Yes.
Okay. We'll say yes. So we'll say he's won a major, he's won a signature event. He's won like the biggest events on the DP World Tour. He could do this. He's 36 to 1. Mark.
It might not have been.
It might not have been either. I think it was
22. He went in 22. I think it was the year before.
Because I think I would remember him getting like 3.6 million, and I don't think he did.
Yeah. Yikes. It gets blurred together. But
really
he won there.
He did. Patrick Cantlay for Mark at 26 to 1. I'm a sucker for Patrick Cantlay, so I totally get this, but that does now complete Mark's grid, which Greg has a very California theme to it. I believe that's the theme that Mark was going for here.
Yes. I'm not sure where Rico went to school.
USC, I think.
USC. That's
I think
right.
It was USC.
So you got USC, you got Pepperdine, you got UCLA. California kids.
37 to 1 on Knapp, 26 to 1 on Patrick Cantlay, working our way down. You're up next, Greg. The first outright we're going to hear from you is 22.5 to 1. Who is it, please?
It's Hideki Matsuyama.
Wow.
I'm psyched about this one. Psyched about it. Like I said, you said you need a little bit of everything. Well, I was impressed with Hideki's improvement off the tee. He was able to find some fairways last week. I know it still wasn't great. He still lost strokes to the field, but he hit a lot more fairways. His iron play has been stellar. The approach game has been Hideki-like. All 4 events he's played this year, he's gained over 2 strokes approaching the green. And you look at his around the green stuff, it's, arguably the best on the PGA Tour. And it's been great this year. And he's gained over 3 shots putting the last 2 starts.
I hate to say it. Well, because there are still some ugly strokes out there, but the putting stroke looks pretty good. Not on the short ones, but like I've actually been impressed with the way he's rolled it over the course of the last.
No, he's made some. We were talking about like the Cam Young stroke we saw a couple weeks ago that was perfect. Mm-hmm. He's made some perfect putting strokes, a lot more of them. I love where Hideki is with his game right now, and this course fits him perfectly.
Let's continue up the board. I've got Tommy Fleetwood at 22 to 1. He was the 3rd best player in the world last year. Played great last week. Actually got off to a slow start with the putter. Figured it out on Sunday. Has always putted well at Riviera. He's picked up, I think it's like 8 or 9 strokes putting in his last 2 trips. It's Tommy time. He does everything well. Talks about what, Xander Schauffele being a well-rounded player. Tommy Fleetwood, certainly a well-rounded player. I got him at 22 to 1.
Makes sense.
Which leaves us, Greg, with the shortest man on the grid, the man that we try not to leave off the grid for a lot of reasons, because on Sunday he makes you look pretty smart. Who is it?
Scottie Scheffler. Want to get some green on the board. Look, we don't have to do anything crazy for this to hit. Let's go shoot 70 on Sunday. Let's get under par on Thursday, and he can go win this thing. You mentioned we were talking about earlier the Stars not winning here, so I just wanted to go through Scottie's record. T10 and 24, T12 and 23, T7 and 22. T20, T30, miscut, working away. He's putted well here. He's struggled here putting as well. He's done everything fine here. I don't think there's anything about this course that keeps him away. There's nothing wrong with Scottie here.
Scottie, Hideki, Tommy, Fitzy, Patty, that's can't lie, and Nappy, Jake Knapp, are the picks to win on the grid. Now we move to maybe the most anticipated portion of the show, the one and done selections. This is a $4 million first prize. So the only one as of right now that we know about, unless some major championship comes and blows the doors off, that the only purse that will be bigger for first will be the Players Championship, which is like $4.5 million or something completely outrageous. So this is a big boy. Now, Mina, I believe, will have the silhouettes. Let's see if we have these available. We do. Oh, man. Let me try to guess these.
Do we have duplicates?
No. There's no dupes. Because the ears are different on the two on the right. I know yours because I know I can see the sleeves. The sleeves give yours away. And I know mine because I know mine. I'm not sure I know the others.
I don't know. I can't tell. They could be anybody.
Mina's could be literally anybody.
I have no idea. Is that Rory? Is Mina going with Rory?
Okay, we'll find out. We got to go in a specific order to reveal these. So,
okay.
Top left, Greg, who is currently at $192,000, who needs a big week, is backing whom?
Hideki Matsuyama.
Yeah, I knew those sleeves.
Yeah, that's a good spot. It's a really good spot. I think I know who Marks is.
I think I do too. I've been staring at it. Okay, Hideki, no surprise because listen, it's a great spot. He's won here, and Greg has been boasting about him for the last 42 minutes. So it's the pick for this week.
Yeah.
I just reveal it, Mina. I went with Scottie. Which, all right, hear me out on this one.
All right.
Because I'm nervous, but
you've done this before.
I've done this before at Riviera, and it did not work out very well. Here's where I'm at. I don't even know where I'm at.
Well, he's the best player in the world, and this is one of the biggest purses.
Okay, he's the best player in the world. It's one of the biggest purses. And I know he's not going to be very popular because it's the place he's never won. Everybody's going to use him at the Players or the major championships or whatever. So I'm going to get the best player in the world in a 70-person field with 4 guaranteed rounds when I know he's playing his best golf.
Nearly guaranteed.
I don't know how he's going to be playing at the Memorial when we get to, later in the year, right? Or I don't know how I assume it's going to be great, but I also assume he's going to be more popular. I could also balance the $4.5 million for first at the Players, but also a field that's twice as large at a golf course has a little bit of volatility into it. So it's also, and Mark's right in the chat, I am nervous because it does feel like when you use Scheffler, it feels like you have to get a lot in return for it, right? It feels like if this does not get me at least $1.5 million, I'm going to be very much behind the 8 ball.
No, I think it's more like he has to win.
Because half the league is going to get a win from him at some point.
Yes. There's going to be 5 times a year where he's going to win, and you just got to pick one of them. You can't miss one of them.
So I thought, if I just if I just keep waiting, I still have Scottie available, right? Which is a nice thing to have in your back pocket. I have him available, but realistically, he's playing great.
You never know what could happen. Part of me wants to save him for the BMW. I don't think a lot of people are going to do that.
I agree with this. Atonin says Scottie hasn't won in 2 weeks. He's overdue. If he wins half his starts, he is overdue, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got to win his next two.
I'm scared, Greg.
Yeah, I know. I thought about it. I'm very tempted to just get back in the mix with Scottie. You know he's going to give you a hefty payload, but he's got to win. And
God, it'd be so sick if he won.
It would. It'd be huge. I can't wait to see what the ownership is on.
Oh, I think it's going to be. I think it's got to be less than 5%. I mean, there were the first couple weeks. Well, last week he was like 2% or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it's a good play.
Well,
if he wins.
If he wins. Mark has gone with Patrick Cantlay.
Yep.
Money making machine.
He is.
He's like the fourth best player in signature events, and he's not won one of them, and I can't even remember one that he's contended
at. Well, at Riviera, he's got back-to-back top 10s, top 5s, back-to-back top. I think he's got a third and a fourth. He plays great here, and his game's in really good form. I'm on the Cantlay. I thought about Cantlay. For me, if it wasn't Hideki, it was Cantlay. Probably tells you where you should go if you're following the show. Looking for advice. You have a pretty good idea now.
Before we give out Mina's picks, Sam Clark from Patreon says he just wants to leave a comment. He says he wants to give a vote of confidence to Mina to go with her gut for the one and done. This is something we've talked about over the course of the past couple of weeks. He says, I play one and done with my kids. They watch golf with me. They know all the golfers, but do zero research each week. I listen to all the Second Cut podcasts. I consume other golf content, and I do extensive research. And every year I get beat by my kids who go with their cuts. Who go with their guts. Be like them. Don't be like Greg and I. That's a message from Sam Clark.
Unruly shots fired my way.
Yeah, you got to drive by on that one.
Yeah, I don't need to be catching strays like that. I got to get out of this spot. That's all. Hideki, if you're listening.
Which he is.
Please, just go win this week. That's all I ask. You'll be my savior.
Now, Mina, do you want to voice in and reveal your pick for Sam and for the show? She said no. Okay. Just a little message that popped up and said no.
Rejected.
Okay, Mina. Well, I tried. Reveal your pick, please.
I knew it.
Rory McIlroy. Wow. I did not see that coming. That's definitely a gut play, I think.
I just recognized the silhouette.
Yeah, he's got a little smaller silhouette. His head's real small.
Yeah, I think his head's really small in real life. It is. That's why I've heard that's why he doesn't wear a hat sometimes in the Ryder Cup because
they can't. That's bullshit.
Which is so ironic.
They can get him any size hat he needs.
Yeah. But that's what Brad Faxon told me a couple years ago.
Wow, Mina and I have gone with the big guns. You and Mark have seemingly stuck to the plan.
Yeah, I don't think it's wrong at all. I think these are all great plays. Really, I think there's a strategy. Like Scottie could be the plan for the Genesis. Rory could be the plan for Genesis. Rory should have won last week.
Yeah.
I mean, he just coughed it up with some unforced errors. So I'm on board in a field like this.
I think this is the first week this year we've been 4 lone wolves. Right?
Maybe this is when everything changes.
This could be chaotic.
Yes, everything changes this week. One of these 4 guys is going to have a strong performance.
They own 25, 35, 40% of the win equity these 4 guys do.
I think one of them wins.
Oh, man.
Well, obviously I do. There are 2 of them are in my outright card.
Okay. Greg's going with Hideki. I'm going with Scottie. Mina's going with Rory. Mark's going with Cantlay. Mina, do we have the updated figures just for record keeping?
Oh, that's too bad.
We have it. Don't worry.
That's too bad.
1.8 million for Mark, 1.3 for Rick, Mina 493,000, Greg 147,000.
Yeah, we're just this is I'm starting the season like Scottie's last couple of Thursdays, but I'm going to come racing back.
Yeah. Listen, plenty of golf left. Okay, now we're going to turn our attention to the fantasy portion of the show. We use the DraftKings player pool, the pricing. Greg gives me a list of golfers in each one of those tiers that we can talk about. Some we have already spoken about. Others will be new to this conversation, but we will start where we always start. I asked Greg to pick me a golfer of the week, someone that stands alone above all, someone that he's willing to put his GGOW stamp of approval on. And for this week, it should come as no surprise that Greg's GGOW is
Hideki Matsuyama. He's won here before. Okay. Also a Masters champion, mind you, Rick, as we were talking about earlier. The thing I love about Hideki is he has an ability to hit great iron shots. Okay, so all of a sudden, because of his ability to flag it from anywhere, every hole can become a birdie hole at any point. More so, I mean, that's true for everybody, but it's more so for Hideki. He can hit spectacular shots. What Hideki also does, which I think he can repeat, is he will have 5 or 6 scrambling birdies every 2 days at least. Okay, so these are up and down birdies. They are chip it up there to 4 or 5 feet and knock it in. You got the 3 par 5s, you got number 10. A lot of opportunities at Riviera to pile on scoring with a couple of those short game birdies. I really trust his short game, and I think he can add the extra spark with his iron play. So Hideki's my golfer of the week.
Yeah, he's been really good. I like to see that the putter is really seemingly improved. I always say that cautiously because I don't know how long that's going to last, but I do like the way that his putting is trending. So now we go to that top tier, guys over 9K, and there's like a little caveat here, Greg. It's like, yeah, we could sit here and talk about Scottie and Rory and Tommy Fleetwood. We like those guys. There's a reason they're the best players in the world.
Yeah, they have gotten to a level where the only reason to talk about them is if you don't like them for some reason. If you want to put Scottie in your lineup, I mean, I think it's probably the best thing to do. If you want to put Rory in there, you got a little more flexibility. Fleetwood, even a little more flexibility. Those are your decisions. I think the other guys are more important to talk about.
Okay, so we've talked about Hideki. I know that Patrick Cantlay's on your list. We've actually talked about him quite a bit. I want to dive into Cam Young because I find it interesting kind of how quickly we move on in this industry, right? The shiny new object often gets replaced very quickly by the next shiny new object. Cam Young going into 2026 was bestowed major championship after major championship after what we saw from him from the end of last year. And it feels like that shine has worn off a little bit. What do you see from the current state of Cam Young's game?
Well, it's not as good as I hoped. It's not great seeing a couple of red squares in the approach play and the putting categories. So this is where, like, to sit here and explain it, it's not as fun. It's not as easy as it is for Hideki. But you hit the nail on the head with the shiny new object. This is close enough to where there's a turnaround could be immediate. It's one swing thought on the range from his dad, and he wins this week by 5. That's probably a stretch in this field, but I think he has that kind of turbo. He also has a great record here. He's finished 2nd, 20th, and 16th in 3 starts at Riviera. I'm very optimistic about him, and I think because he's forgotten, he becomes a strong play in fantasy.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing how quickly everyone has moved on to guys like Jake Knapp, who's on your list and in my grid and
Yeah.
in Mark's grid, right? And it's just very easy to do. Continuing down this list here, I want to go to Chris Gotterup next, because that's kind of another. Chris Gotterup has already won twice this year, and I'm not sure a lot of people, myself included, really have a plan with Chris Gotterup. I know what he does well, but he can win in a lot of different ways. I don't necessarily look at a golf course and say, oh, it's definitely a Chris Gotterup spot. It's weird because he's so talented and he's already gotten to the top of the board twice this year, but like he is a little harder to put your finger on.
I get that. I totally get that. It's going to be hard for picking wins. You got except for the fact that he wins a lot apparently. But this is the reasoning for me is every part of his game is fine except the putter's been a little slow. The putter hasn't been great lately. That's a concern. But what has impressed me so much is his short game. I think he is a much better scrambler than I initially thought. And that has continued this year. It's been a very strong short game this year.
Yeah.
And his iron play is even better than it was last year. You got driver, wedge. You're in really good shape. You're a hot putter away from him winning again, which I think is a possibility. But even if he doesn't, I still think you get a better showing than T37 last week.
He has won a golf tournament losing strokes off the tee. He has won a golf tournament losing strokes on approach. He has won a golf tournament losing strokes putting. If he wins a golf tournament losing strokes around the green, he would complete the
cycle?
Yeah, or the Grand Slam. And I don't know if that's ever been done.
It probably has, because you have guys like Tiger who have just won so much. He can do it all. He can do it all. I just think he's really good. And at 8,800, coming off a T37 last week, I think people will sleep on him again.
So I have him in a lot of like best ball, and he is just printing for me because I never have to pick when to play him, when not to play him, when he's going to play well, when he's not. And it's just like, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Is he becoming like a Scheffler? Like you either always bet him or never bet him?
In a different sense, I kind of feel that way because I don't. If you made me list the top 5 golf courses for Chris Gotterup, I think I'd have a hard time.
Yeah. But the odds are a lot better. So, if he's playing, you put something on him and it'll pay off. He'll be one of your profitable golfers at the end of the year.
Yeah, he's certainly locked that up for this year. Yeah. McNeely's on your list as well. And this is a guy who has let, basically one bad round a week keep him from really contending. And it's still a very nice start to 2026, Greg.
Yeah, everything looks great. The iron, this is what I thought was going to happen last year. Like I thought there was this building momentum with iron play, and this was going to propel him onto the Ryder Cup team, and it kind of stalled out a little bit. But this has been a fantastic start. And I think he leaves all these events frustrated, which is a good sign. I think it's going to, I don't think he's satisfied. I think he's hungry for more. And playing in California again, you have a similar advantage on the greens. He didn't take advantage last week, but I still feel he can going forward and, keep knocking on the door. Eventually it's going to open. I think we're in that kind of a situation with McNeely.
I'm down this rabbit hole now. Now, Tiger's, not every single one of Tiger's wins has been in the ShotLink era, which only started in 2004. He has won 4 times losing strokes off the tee. He's won once losing strokes with the putter.
Wow. I thought it'd be more than that.
Me too. He's won 5 times losing strokes around the green. In fact, 2007 Workday, he lost around the green and with the putter. He's never won and lost strokes on approach.
Okay.
So Chris Gotterup has done something Tiger has never done.
One while losing strokes approaching the green. Oh, could you imagine if you asked him that in an interview?
Yeah.
Be like,
You feel
what are you talking about?
Yeah. Like, you are annoying. Leave me alone.
No, quiet nerd.
Quiet nerd. Yeah, he would. He does feel like a guy who would call me a nerd, quite honestly.
Well, I don't think he'd call you, but he'd think it for sure.
Matt Fitzpatrick is on your short list. Matt Fitzpatrick is on my short list. I'm just for visual purposes showing what is a very solid profile.
Yeah, the numbers are just staggering. He's hitting a ton of fairways, which I'm not sure how much of a separator that is. I just think it's a sign of how in control he is of his golf swing. He knows where that golf ball's going and has made some like careless mistakes in the last two events specifically that took him out of immediate contention. There's been hot streaks where he's made a bunch of birdies in a row. I think he has everything it takes to handle the par fives. He has a different gear with the driver this year where he can really send it out there. And he knows how to get it in play when he needs to. So, yeah. I mean, I think he's a great putter, even though the putting hasn't been great. He's a very good putter historically.
Yeah, he is. And it's not like it's been bad every day. It's just been bad some days.
Yeah.
Shane Lowry, speaking of stat profiles, so Shane Lowry, $7,800. And this is what you were talking about earlier, the approach play. I mean, he is just knocking the cover off the golf ball. And the short game, it's red, so it looks worse than it is. But he's lost strokes around the green in 5 straight, but in 4 of them, it was less than a stroke over multiple rounds. So the red looks bad, but I always thought that Lowry was kind of a wizard around the greens.
Yes, I think he is too. And I do believe a golf course like this can bring out the best in you in that in essence. He's just a great scrambler. And the other interesting thing is, even though there's a lot of short game opportunities here because he hits so few greens, it's not that difficult as long as you're not in the sand. The sand is hard here relative to other PGA Tour courses, but other scrambling's not. So I think Shane has what it takes if there's a high volume short game week, like a lot of chip shots. I think he gets a lot of them up and down.
Yeah, and we kind of already said there is going to be a lot of short game opportunities. Okay, so Lowry is 7,800. Another savvy vet with great hands is just $100 cheaper. That's the Australian Jason Day. He's got to have a pretty good record around here, doesn't he? Am I making that up?
No,
it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's back-to-back top 10s.
Yeah, and then he didn't play for 3 years and he missed the cut in 2020, and then he didn't play for 3 years, and then he didn't play for 5 years. So stuff from way far back is not very good, but the 2 most recent starts are back-to-back 9th place finishes.
As Adam Scott, by the way, another Masters and Riviera champion.
Yes, good call.
Bubba
used to crush this place.
Bubba crushed it. I think he won 3 times here, twice at the Masters. There's definitely a common thread, and Jason Day has a great record at Augusta, even though he hasn't won. I think when I look at Jason Day, you're probably disappointed after the Pebble performance because he's supposed to finish top 5.
Mm-hmm.
He finished his T24. His iron play really struggled last week, which is really more wedge play. Now we go to long iron play. Are things going to change there for Jay Day? I think there's a possibility. I also think he has the kind of ability on the greens with short game. It wouldn't surprise me if Jason Day won a tour event losing strokes on approach at all. And I think his iron play has generally been a lot better lately, even though it wasn't last week. So there's a good chance this kind of turns around for him.
You have a golfer at $7,300 that I find very interesting because his top 20 streak, it's Pearson Coody, his top 20 streak ended last week at Pebble Beach. And now you're getting back in. You're saying that doesn't worry me at all.
No, he's absolutely striping the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Pearson Coody. So here's the thing about the way this course is setting up. I may have been a little concerned about Cootie if I didn't know anything about the forecast. If I was blind to the weather, I might have been a little concerned. A softer golf course, I think, gives the ball strikers an advantage, because I think it takes a little of the edge off in the short game. It allows you to hit a few more greens, and a few more fairways, and I think that changes the way Riviera plays. So Cootie's never played here. I think it becomes a lot easier to figure out when it's softer, more nuanced. Less nuanced. Some of the nuances kind of removed. And I think you could see a great start from a guy who's striping it and smashing it off the tee.
Yeah, this is such an interesting because the ball striking all year long has been great. Just little short game woes, little putter woes, nothing to be too concerned about.
Yeah, and not consistently.
Correct. You'd think there's a pretty quick bounce back from Cootie on that.
That's what it looks like to me.
Next, you have this one. Okay, another guy who I own a lot of in best ball format. $6,900. Sahith Theegala struggled around Pebble Beach. I mean, very similar to Cootie. His worst week of the year was last week, and now it's an opportunity to get him back in a place he's probably more comfortable, venue that probably suits him a lot better.
Yeah, I think he understands what's going on with his game now. I don't think that's throwing him into a bad place. I think he gets fired up for this one. And also at 6,900, you got Sahith Theegala, who, if he won, like, what would you think if he won? Be like, oh, it's great that he won. It's his biggest event that he's ever won. It wouldn't be shocking. You could see it happening. It'd be a nice comeback from last year after the injury, but you'd say, oh, well, he was hurt last year and now he's back, and the Sahith Theegala from 2 years ago, you would not be surprised if he won anything. So I think the price really is what pushes me to him.
Yeah, especially if you're getting into the Rorys and Fleetwoods and trying to find a little bit of salary cap relief. $6,900 for Sahith is certainly workable. $6,800 is Tony Finau, who is coming off of the best putting week of his career. 8.2 strokes with a new flat stick. I think he's using a prototype. I'll look it up. But that's not going to happen again, Greg. I imagine he's not going to gain another 8 strokes, but there's enough here to think that he can give you a little bit of value at $6,800.
Yeah, well, he plays great at Riv.
Yeah.
He's finished top 25 out of his last 7 trips to Riv. At Torrey Pines, the other place where he made the cut, he's only made 2 of his last 5 cuts. But when he's made the cut, they've been top 20s. They've been good performances. I think it's a great golf course for him. I like that his iron play, he's gained strokes to the field in 3 of his last 4. Perhaps that's the sign of a turnaround. And you're coming to a place that you love and you've nearly won at before. You lost in a playoff to Max Homa. He should have won here, quite frankly. So I think there's a lot of things in his favor, one of them being the fact that he's 6,800.
That Homa Finau playoff was cinema.
Yeah. Yeah,
wild. Theegala, Finau, 2 more. And these are 2 of the golfers. I'm glad you have them on your list because they're 2 of the golfers that I have zero idea when, where, how, or why, but they are very cheap. Andrew Novak is $6,300. Let's make the case.
Yeah. Well, we saw a great performance out of him at Torrey on the greens and approaching the green. And he hit the ball okay last week as well, but putted terribly. So maybe the putter turns around at Riviera because it can. He's shown that he can do it on Poa annua greens. I think his swing looks like it's in really good form. So his iron play hasn't been bad over the last couple of weeks. You take the American Express out of it, and I think it's a pretty decent record. So I'm less confident with Andrew Novak than I am with Tom Hoge, but I saw the great result at Torrey, and I'm like, hey, why not again?
Guys that will not model well, like no matter what, Andrew Novak, Sepp Straka's kind of in that bucket because when they're bad, they are really bad, and it just kind of bottoms out some of the models that you can run. Tom Hoge is starting to break out of that a little bit because we're starting to see some more consistent finishes. The bad isn't as bad. And what we saw at Pebble Beach was honestly like that. I don't know what vintage Hoge is at this point, but like that was kind of vintage Hoge.
Yeah, it's what you expect from him, right? Tom Hoge is a very good putter and a very good iron player. So I like him so much. Why I talk about him so often. He gives you a chance at really high-end finishes because of that combination. I think we get a little more of that test at Riv this week with the softer conditions, and he is getting back on track. He struggled at the Farmers and he struggled in Phoenix with his iron play, but in the 4 events before that, he had gained strokes to the field, and he did it again last week at Pebble Beach. He's got back-to-back top 15 finishes here at Riviera. So it's always hard for me to look away from a approach putt-in combo. Again, this is another one of those cases where if I didn't think it was going to be as soft as it is, I would be very worried about his short game. But I think the receptiveness of this golf course will allow Hoge to play pretty well.
Yeah, there's only 9 guys cheaper, so it's also an appealing tag on both of those guys, Novak and Hoge, if you're trying to build out lineups, which I'm gonna have to start doing here. So yeah, okay. I love it. I love it. It's gonna be a great week. Meaning you can take my screen down. I can't do it with my laptop, but this is one of my favorite weeks. I love and feel horrible for the guys who are gonna have to start on a brisk Thursday morning off the 10th tee and try to figure that thing out with their first swings of the day. Like I just love this place.
It's a iconic venue for a reason. Just a great golf course. I can't wait to see how it plays. I think it's also a great golf course in any kind of condition. It just always brings it. It's going to be great to watch with this field. If the scores get up to 19 or 20 under, it'll be great golf that gets you there.
That's true.
So I don't think it can go wrong.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to call it. We will be back Friday night, as there will be a cut, and we'll be back Sunday night, and hopefully one of Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Hideki Matsuyama, or Patrick Cantlay are very much in the mix, because that would mean a lot for our one and done.
Yes, massive. And there's one in particular that I'm rooting a little extra for.
Yeah, Scottie Scheffler, exactly.
Okay, there's two. There's two I'm rooting a little extra for.
All right. Big thanks to producer Mina. She does all the hard work behind the scenes. Thanks for Mark Immelman. Chop it up in the chat. That's Greg DuCharme. I'm Rick Gehman. This is the second cut. We will see you on Friday.